Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In brief, this is an answer that I will be giving after being asked the question what a Muslim should start with in his or her path to knowledge. And I think this is a very important question, as we find today that so many people no longer know where to start. And one of the reasons is the internet is filled with durus and classes, and everybody has his or her own opinion, and everybody's telling you to do something. Some people say study fiqh, others say study tafsir, usul al-fiqh, mustal hadith. And at the end of the day, we see that the majority of Muslims no longer know what to start with, and that on the other hand, when they start, they do not finish their business. And this is problematic. I would like to tell you that it became a fashion to become a student of knowledge, but the minority of those who tread the path are really students of knowledge. I mean, if you want to become a doctor, you want to become an engineer, you want to become a pilot or whatever, then you will be in need of many, many, many years and a lot of sacrifice to be able to attain that level. You will have to work up to that level. You will need to sacrifice a lot of time, and you will need to dedicate, you will need dedication, and you will need to spend a lot of time with your nose in the books, sitting with teachers and so forth. So why would this be any different when it comes down to knowledge? I wouldn't expect you, if I were to ask you a question about medicine, for example, and you never read a book about medicine, and you actually are not a doctor or whatever, I wouldn't expect you to answer my question if I were to ask you about some, the heart and heart diseases and I don't know. You wouldn't be answering. You wouldn't dare, because you would immediately feel that this is not your cup of tea. But when it comes down to knowledge, then we find people to be very eager to answer, because the majority of people asking questions don't have the answer themselves. So if you were to give a wrong answer, then the person in front of you might just think, oh, this person has a lot of knowledge. Because knowledge is disappearing. And when I speak about knowledge, I mean, in this case, in particular, Islamic knowledge is disappearing. I mean, today, the standards that we uphold for someone to be called a sheikh or a student of knowledge are not the same standards that our scholars used to have. In reality, there are almost no standards. Everybody can be a sheikh, everybody can be a alim, everybody can be a talib al-ilm, and so forth. So what you have to know is that if you want to become a scholar or a student of knowledge, is that you are in need of dedication, in need of time, and in need of a passion. You need to be driven. You need to be focused. You need to be ready to go through difficult stages in life, because you will have to hold on to your knowledge then, even when things don't go as you wish in your life, from an economical point of view, from a social point of view, from an emotional point of view, whatever. You will need to hold on to that knowledge, because otherwise knowledge won't give you anything. And for me, there are two categories. There are people that want to become students of knowledge, and people that show that they want to become students of knowledge. And there's difference. Everybody dreams of something. I would like to, for example, make as much money as Ronaldo, for example, or as Messi, or as McGregor losing, but nevertheless receiving 3 million. So yes, I would like to make money, but that's dreaming. In no way meaning that MMA is a good sport where people seem to be, crushing each other's faces. So that's a different issue. But I dream of a lot of things, but my dreams don't turn it into reality, and my wants don't either. So the first thing that you have to do when you want to become a student of knowledge or a scholar is to look at your capacities and potential. And this is the first thing that which people don't do. They don't look at their limits. They look at their dreams, and they forget that the dream is like a plastic bag. It can be filled with water. And very often, yani, subhanAllah, you dream this big, but you have this amount of water. So the plastic bag all of a sudden won't look as big as it anymore, even though it can contain much more. So your dreams are the body, but your potential and capacity is that which shapes your dream. So if you now have dreams that are not in harmony with your potentials and with your capacities and with your life, your circumstances in life, then you might be dreaming false dreams. And it might be very hard to say this, and very rude to claim this, and very pretentious to even think this, but it is true. So the first thing you have to do is, okay, a scholar needs to memorize. A scholar is in need of memorization. A scholar is in need of sincerity. A scholar is in need of time. A scholar is in need of a right environment. A scholar is in need of so many things. So do you have these things? That's the first question. Secondly, is that everybody has to start with that which is obligatory upon him or her. And this knowledge very often is the knowledge that we seem to be fleeing away from. It seems like if we want to, know everything about usul al-fiqh, everything about grammar, everything about morphology, everything about rhetorics, everything about so many different sciences and branches, but when it comes down to our personal fiqh, for example, being it forms of worship or being it buying and selling and renting and inheritance and so much more, then all of a sudden we seem to not to be so eager and not to be so wanting. And this is a problem, because this is exactly what you should start with. And the same, so your fiqh and your aqidah, yani knowing how to believe in Allah, knowing how to remove doubts from your heart and mind in a time where a lot of doubts are spread. And then thirdly, knowing how to transform or to change or to climb up to a higher level of yourself in your behavior, outwardly and inwardly. So these three things are without any doubt obligatory upon each Muslim, and this seems to be the last thing that we want to learn. And one should not climb higher unless he or she has done what is obligatory upon him or her. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ indeed said, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ, yani that acquiring knowledge is obligatory upon each Muslim without regards being a man or a woman. But this is, of course, this needs to be prioritized. If there is no priority and there is no methodology and there is no ladder that you are climbing, you will get lost in a jungle and you will be eaten by these wild animals, and you don't want that. You want to enjoy your life. So now in brief, apart from these three things, there are two things that each student of knowledge should actually focus on. And before, we have these three things, your fiqh, your aqidah and your akhlaq, this without any doubt. And if you then feel at the same time that you want to acquire knowledge, you will memorize as much as you can from the Quran. I used to say you need to memorize all the Quran, I still do, but a lot of people start when they are already older, and then it is not always as easy to memorize the entire Quran. For young people, without any doubt, this is what they start with, together with mastering the Arabic language, and not mastering the entire Arabic language. That would be impossible because the Arabic language is so rich and so vast, and it is almost impossible to master the Arabic language, or it is impossible, but I mean mastering the fundamentals of grammar, morphology, and balagha, and art of speech and so forth, and of course having a rich vocabulary. And these two things are required for everybody who wants to tread the path of knowledge. And without them, he or she won't be able to climb the ladder. It will always be a handicap yes, it will also always be a handicap, and it will always be an obstacle, and there will always be this little voice reminding you of, you do not memorize the Quran, you do not master the Arabic language. So, and then the third point is that one should not speak unless one knows, and knowing is not the same as I heard, I think, it has been said, because this is exactly what destroyed the communities before us, like the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. So this is in brief, yani, three, I think, fundamentals that are very important for everybody who wants to tread the path of knowledge. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this beneficial. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.